Let's bring in Yan Liang, a professor of economics at Willamette University in Portland, Oregon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Poppie.
So what's the significance of the SCO in today's ever-changing geopolitical landscape?
Right, this is a great question. As we know, the SCO was established back in 2001. And other countries joined, including, India and Pakistan in 2017 and Iran in 2023 and Belarus this year. So this is an organization that now, accounts for 40% of the world population and about 30% of the GDP. So in and of itself, this is a very important organization. And I also think that it's very important on two major fronts. One is the principle front, right? This is an organization that emphasizes, mutual respect, the respect for, sovereignty and territorial integrity and also independence of different countries. And it also shows, even when countries are in tension or they have disputes, they can still come together and talk and, have the mutual consultation. So I think this is very important. And then the second front is there are a lot of practical level cooperations. So as the reporter talked about, now the emphasis is on poverty reduction, on e-commerce, and also in trade and also, technological exchanges toward the goal of sustainable development. So I think this is very important in both, symbolic, but also in the substantive levels.
Now, a number of key agreements were signed across a range of areas. What were the highlights for you?
Right. So as we know, the head of states meeting was taking place in July, and this is the head of government. So it's more about implementation of some of the big sort of strategic goals. The Astana meeting back in July has signed over 25 strategic documents. So this is the time when, these heads of governments get together and really talk about some of the practical measures, how to implement, some of these measures. So I think, from Li Qiang, premier from China, he talked about, the four major strategies going forward. And one of them, I think that again, resonates the most with me is about expanding, practical cooperation, like poverty reduction, digital economy, and green development. So just one example, when it comes to green development, there are a lot of discussions about, renewable energy development, how countries can attract investments, and also the best practices in the ESG financing. So I think a lot of practical measures are being discussed and soon being implemented around this region, around this organization. So I think this is really what is important for this past summit.
So UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres attended the SCO. Explain why that's important, particularly at this moment in time globally.
Right, this is an excellent question. So what we know in the current global, the world is that we have regional tensions. We have an emerging sort of multipolar system. So it's important that we look at these different organizations that have, different principles and alternative way of getting people together, getting countries together to cooperate and try to resolve some of the tensions. So I think this is very important to show an alternative model, but also a very important pillar in that multipolar world.
So we know that when the SCO started, it began with China, Russia, Central Asian states. It has, of course, grown to incorporate a number of other states, including, of course, Pakistan, where it's being hosted. Interested in Turkey, which is a dialogue partner and is looking to become a member. Turkey, of course, a member of NATO as well. So kind of talk to how interesting that dynamic is and potentially what it is they're looking to get out of SCO membership.
Right. So I think this just indicates that, countries wanted to seek, strategic partners. They want to cooperate. They wanted to have sort of the new kind of non-alignment sort of movements, right? So Turkey could work with NATO, but it could also join SCO to advance its own interests. I think, there are a lot of differences between the SCO and the NATO. NATO is a military alliances, whereas I think, SCO is a very different organization, right? It does have some sort of shared security operations, but most likely it has many multidimensional cooperations, including, like you mentioned, trade, investment, sustainable development, and so on and so forth. So I think for countries, it's always good for them to have different choices and work with different partners, when they see fit. And I think this is very important that all countries should do the same instead of picking sides and instead of having that confrontational block mentality.
Yan Liang, a professor of economics at Willamette University in Portland, Oregon. Thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you, Poppie.